Hey everyone, welcome to the Freedom to Flourish podcast. I'm Dr. Joel Miller here, usually joining you with my good friend and colleague, Dr. Tim Augustiniak. But today I'm going solo because this episode called Meet Dr. Joel is designed really for me to share my story and how I got into healthcare, kind of my journey through healthcare, and then where things are now. I realized as I was talking with Dr. Tim that we've done 60 some episodes now talking about different holistic topics, talking about different conditions and symptoms and things that people are dealing with, all of which are amazing and good things. But we've never done any kind of episode just kind of introducing ourselves, sharing a little bit of our story and things like that. And so wanted to take a little bit of time and do that in this episode. And then I'm excited also for Dr. Tim and his episode, him sharing his story and how he got to where he is now. So we're excited for that. We have a lot of different patients that will ask us that, and we figured kind of more of a formal episode would be a great idea. So with that said, here's what I'm covering today. I'm going to talk about my story, how I got into holistic healthcare, kind of my journey through healthcare and my experience getting into school, going through school, starting my first practice, which I'll talk about a little bit, and then starting my second practice, which takes us to where we are now here in Texas. And then I'll talk a little bit about my personal life and share some fun things there too that you might not know about me. So I hope this is interesting. And if you are a patient, a current patient, then maybe this will be a little bit more interesting for you. And if you're not a current patient, but maybe you're considering it, then this will definitely be helpful for you. So without further ado, let's jump in. So how did I get into holistic healthcare? Well, I would say it first kind of starts back in my teenage years. Growing up, the first thing that I kind of came across, I guess, was kind of twofold with my health. One was acne, and the second thing was just overall health and performance, and really trying to stay healthy, trying to improve athleticism, and not get injured, and all of those things. And so, to start with the acne topic, I realized very quickly that if I ate bad food, my acne would get worse. And if I ate good food, my acne would get better. And while I would struggle with acne and really didn't fully understand that, hey, a lot of it's rooted in the gut health and it's rooted in the liver, or I guess I understood that, but I didn't fully understand the root causes there and how to go about fixing those things. And so what I did know was I need to eat these foods over here because this junk food and processed stuff and oils and all that stuff all worsens my acne. I realized that a probiotic supplement really helped my acne, and so I took it very consistently. And of course, I've learned a lot since, and share that with you guys often. So that was acne. I looked around and I had a lot of friends that were on Accutane, and it was a very common treatment for acne. It's still a very common treatment for acne. And, the problem that I really saw was their acne would improve, but there would be so many side effects. A lot of the side effects had to do with things like dry skin, heightened emotions, worsened sleep, more anxiety, all kinds of different things. And in my heart and in my mind, I knew our body was intelligently designed to be able to heal itself. All we had to do was eat the way that we're supposed to eat. We're supposed to work out our body. We're supposed to do things that are going to support and strengthen our body rather than just kind of take a different, some kind of pill to help with the symptom. And so I saw that very early on. Now, keep in mind, teenage years, 13, 14, things like that. I wasn't even focused on my career. I didn't know that healthcare was going to be where I was going to be. At that time, I was playing club soccer. I was playing basketball. And the goal at that point was, number one, to be the best at everything that I did with that. And then two, the goal was potentially to play in college. And so we'll get to that in a second. But that was kind of middle school, high school. And so then as I'm going into essentially my my senior year of high school sports, I had a really, really tight low back. And this was another huge step and milestone that I think God allowed to happen in my life to really show me what the reality was of really different, professions in the health field. And it'll make more sense as I explain. So I had a really tight low back going into soccer season. I remember we were leading up to our first tournament, and my back was not improving. It didn't matter what stretches I did, what workouts, it didn't matter any of those things. And between my dad and myself, we were trying to figure out all kinds of different things. Was it due to a weak core? Was it due to a tight this, tight that, all these things? All I knew is my low back was super tight and it was not improving. And so one of my teammates at the time, his dad was a chiropractor, and the teammate's mom, so the doc's wife, was like, "Hey, you should go see him." And I was like, I've been, thinking in my mind, I've been to a chiropractor, I've been adjusted. I don't think that's going to really help with this, and things like that. And so I wasn't first going that way. And then my dad had said, "Hey, I've had this before. You need a muscle relaxant that really helped me in the past." And so I said, "All right, let's do it." So went to the closest doctor's office, got a muscle relaxant. And for the next 2 weeks, I took amazing 2-hour naps every day. I mean, it was like clockwork, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., 2-hour naps, amazing naps every day. The problem was my low back tightness did not improve at all. And so a couple of weeks then go by. We get closer to the beginning of this tournament. We travel up. It was a couple hours away. And the night before, I could hardly stand up. Or at least if I could, it was extremely slow. I mean, my back was so tight. I definitely couldn't run. I definitely couldn't turn my hips to, strike a soccer ball. And so I knew that my teammate's dad, the chiropractor, the chiro, he was going to likely be coming up on the trip. And so I texted and said, "Hey, would you, back is insanely tight. Would you be willing to look at me in the morning?" Granted, our first game, I think, was at like 8 a.m. He responded and said yes. And so show up early. And one of his first questions, he says, "Have you been stretching your hip flexors?" And I'm like, that's like the one thing I haven't been doing. And so this chiropractor's name is Dr. Daryl Rich. He is ultimately the inspiration for why I went down the chiropractic route, and cannot thank this guy enough. He is a true kind of milestone in my journey, and God had used him in an amazing way. So what he does, he adjusts me on the field. He knows and understands the muscles, specifically the hip flexor, um, the psoas muscle and the iliacus muscles and all the muscles there in the core and in the hips. And he massages through those and works through those with the active release technique. And he basically says, "Hey, you're going to be good to go for this game. Might hurt a little bit, but you'll be good to go." Sure enough, I played that game. I think I scored like 2 goals in that game. And I hadn't even been able to like run and kick or anything at a high level for probably 2 months before then. So I was definitely out of shape. I was definitely hurting. But because of Dr. Rich and me being and him able to understand the anatomy and what was actually going on there, just totally blew my mind. And what I started thinking about was, man, the body really is beautifully designed and it wants to heal itself. There's a way that it's supposed to function. And we have a huge group of doctors that generally are just recommending prescriptions and medications to address certain symptoms. When I went into the doctor to get that muscle relaxant, I did not hear anything about the psoas muscle, the hip flexor muscles. I didn't hear anything about doing lunges to stretch. I didn't hear about any of those things. And I meet this chiropractor and he asked me one question and he nailed it the first time. And I was just, my mind was blown because I'd felt like this guy over here who was a chiropractor, which by the way, most chiropractors don't get enough, I guess, support these days and maybe enough praise these days because I'll get into this in a little bit, but as I've gone through the chiropractic schooling and all those things, I've learned holy smokes, there's so much training that we get that lines up with the medical school routes. Of course, minus a lot of the drugs and the synthetic stuff, minus surgeries and a lot of those things. But we get a lot of the same things. So my mind was blown with that. But going back to Dr. Rich and my experience there with him on the sideline, my mind was blown. This was the first time I ever felt like I had encountered a true doctor, somebody that understood how God designed the body, the body was supposed to function, and knew how to work through the tissues and the joints and the muscles and all those things to support the body in healing. And so that was super, super eye opening for me. So where we go from there is I go through my senior season, and it it was a blast. I was able to go through it, get to 100% thanks to Dr. Rich and everything he did for me, and it really just opened my eyes. Now, because of my just dedication to nutrition and training and things like that through sports, I had a passion for nutrition, and I thought I'd love to do something career-wise with nutrition. Growing up, we always got the question, "What would you like to do when you grow up?" And so forth. And my dad is an attorney, and I didn't always really know what he did. And so at some point, I got to the place where I said, "Dad," I said, "What do you do for work? I mean, as an attorney, what do you do?" And he goes, "Well, I do a lot of reading." And I said, "I'm out." I said, "I'm out. Reading is not my favorite thing." And some of the irony of that is, through my childhood years and a lot of even teenage years, my reading comprehension was absolutely terrible. I think because I had really poor brain health and really poor gut health. And praise God, through a lot of healing and so forth over the years, I can say that it's significantly better. But I'm still not sure that law school was my calling. So had that happen, and basically as I was going through my senior year and going into college, I was shadowing a bunch of different doctors. So I shadowed a sports medicine doctor, and I thought, man, this is going to be awesome. Sports medicine, went to med school. This guy is legit, and he works with athletes. I mean, this is the dream. I mean, this is what I want to do. And as I shadowed him, it became very apparent that that wasn't reality. He, for the most part, would see patients for maybe 10 minutes. Most of these patients would come in with some kind of issue that was definitely, now knowing what I know now, definitely something that was fixable, whether it was a guy in his 40s, 50s coming in with low testosterone and libido issues, or someone coming in with a lot of inflammation in their joints, their knees, really overweight, some people coming in with back pain and stuff like that. And what I watched patient after patient after patient was this doc just kind of scrolled through the labs. He got stumped time after time, was looking at symptoms, trying to come up with these diagnoses. And on top of that, was doing a lot of different, knee injections, taking a lot of fluid off the knees for people that were really inflamed, doing a lot of steroid shots and all those things. And, at the end of the day, he was helping give a lot of relief to those people with the steroid shots and taking the swelling off the joints, things like that. And that is a good thing. But where I came to was, man, the body is able to heal. And I didn't feel like this doctor was really facilitating that. And I didn't feel like he was teaching the people about how God created your body, about nutrition, about how your body wants to heal itself. And so I saw that and I thought, you know what? Obviously he's a very intelligent person, this doctor, but this wasn't the route that I wanted to go. I also, through conversations with this doctor and some other, actually one of my other good friends that also shadowed this doctor, it turns out that there were, a number of kind of like goals that doctors would try to meet as far as how many knee injections, as far as how many shots, and they would get bonuses based off of these quotas. And so when I learned more about that, I just came to the point to realize that, man, when you work in a hospital setting for a certain hospital or clinic, you are in the system. And I knew that I couldn't do that. That wasn't my calling. That wasn't my place. shouted a physical therapy doctor and, spent some time with him talking through things. And I thought, man, that's really cool. He works a lot with the muscles and joints and athletes, but he doesn't work a lot with nutrition and, you know, business wise, he has to be referred people. And so to some extent, he's extremely dependent on these other doctors. And so then I shadowed Dr. Daryl Rich a few times, shadowed some other chiropractors, and I thought, man, these guys know the body. These guys work with nutrition, try to address things holistically, and from a business aspect, they're their own boss. And so there's no quotas, there's none of those things. They can purely focus on helping the person in front of them. And so from there, I decided, you know what, chiropractic school is the route that I want to go. And thanks to Dr. Daryl Rich, he had said, hey, he said, my alma mater, Logan University in the St. Louis, Missouri area. He said, that's a great school. You should check it out. He said, there's a couple schools here and here that aren't so great. I would probably watch out for them. So all the way from Virginia, grew up homeschooled. I didn't mention this, but I grew up homeschooled, went to community college, all these things. I had lived at home. And here goes, we take a trip, my family, about 11 hours out to St. Louis, Missouri from Virginia, where I grew up. And so we go out there, we get a tour of the school. And man, there was so much peace. And so asking all the questions, everything looks good. I'm like, I think this is it. And so get all the credits I need, all the classes finished, sign up for school, get approved, all these different things, and start in chiropractic school. Now, my goal going into chiropractic school was I wanted to be able, two things ultimately. I wanted to be able to learn how to adjust really well and how to work with tissues really well so that I could work with athletes and people that had pain. The second thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to learn about nutrition because I knew nutrition played a part in every single person's health. And I knew if the body was going to heal itself from any condition, which I believe that it could, I believe that it could for the most part. I learned more as I went. And ultimately, I learned more as I went through school that no, the body can actually heal from anything. But we've been fed lies and lies and lies through TV and through the news and through our current healthcare system that there's a lot of different conditions that are suspected to be, deadly conditions and really poor outcomes. But I learned that it's only poor outcomes because the treatment is terrible. The treatment is focused on drugs rather than supporting the body and healing itself. And so, without ranting too much, my goal going into school was to learn how to work with the joints and the muscles so I could help athletes, number one. And then number two was to learn a lot about nutrition so that I could help any person. And my overwhelming goal with the nutrition piece was I wanted to be able to help any person that came into my practice to help their body heal. And so, being on the other side of that, 3.5 years through school and then 3 years into practice, man, 7.5 years on the other side of that, I can say by the grace of God, he has blessed me with that, with the training and the insights, to have someone come in, to have the training, to have the mind of the Lord that I can look at things and be able to say, this is what's going awry and this is how we need to fix it. And so I've just been super humbled and thankful to God for that. So going through school, I guess kind of the next kind of steps with my story here is how I got into AK and specifically systems healthcare, because when I got into school, I didn't even know about muscle testing. Like the techniques that I do now with patients that help to get amazing results, I didn't even know these things existed. And so I go into school. My goal, again, learn how to adjust, learn how to work with the muscles, learn about nutrition. And then I come across applied kinesiology. And I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check out every single technique they have at school. And I did because I wanted to find, the quote unquote, the best technique. So I attended kind of an introduction to applied kinesiology. And essentially what I found was this, in this one example, the patient had some issues with his rotator cuff. And so he had some shoulder pain, limited range of motion, stuff like that. And the AK doc, who's also a chiropractor, he was having the patient check different joints around the shoulder, around the neck, the hips. He was checking everywhere. And what he found was there was a number of muscles in the shoulder that were not activated, thereby making the shoulder unstable. And so what he found was he needed to adjust the clavicle. I don't remember which clavicle it was, but he needed to adjust the clavicle. And so two things. One, I didn't even know you could adjust the clavicle. So I was like, man, that's seems very holistic. That is really intriguing to me. Number two, um, would that really help? And so he adjusts the guy's clavicle. He rechecks the muscles in the shoulder. They're all strong. And then he has the guy go through some ranges of motion and things like that. And boom, the shoulder joint was incredibly stable. The range of motion improved, and this guy's pain was either gone or like 90% gone. And so I thought to myself, wow, this seems very like personalized as you can be with care. And so got a lot of training with applied kinesiology, and then I came across Dr. Wesson at Logan University, who's forever a mentor and forever and now a friend, as after I've gone through school and so forth. And so systems healthcare, I was introduced through Dr. Wesson, and an incredible doc at school. He was a professor and also practices on the side and taught us so many things. I mean, I just can't say enough nice things about him. He got me introduced me to Dr. Stephen Gangemi, who practices in North Carolina and founded the systems healthcare technique. And he said, hey, you got to go shadow this guy. He's brilliant and all these things. So while I was home one time, drove down 3 hours to the office. The first patient was at 9, got there around 8:30, and was there shadowing Dr. Gangemi that day. And he was gracious enough to allow me to shadow for the whole day. And it was incredible. And so essentially here's what I saw when I shadowed him. I saw that he would have patients of all kinds come into his office, and he was able to help every single one, whether it was the child with the chronic brain inflammation and Arnold Chiari malformation, or whether it was grandma with Alzheimer's, whether it was the lady with infertility, whether it was the guy that had the chronic shoulder pain injury issue, whatever it was, all these different things that were completely different in nature. And he was able to test them all and figure out, okay, we have this issue going on here that we need to fix with herbs or vitamins. We need to do this with nutrition. We need to do this neurological rehab exercise. I mean, my mind was blown. I mean, that's what a doctor was to me. And so I thought to myself, I want to do that. So I pursued that training with systems healthcare, and by the grace of God, have been able to do that now for 3 years. I was able to start using that technique upon graduation, and actually, a year or so before even starting practice. So I'm super thankful for that. God has used Dr. Gangemi, Dr. West, and Dr. Daryl Rich in so many ways, and I'm super thankful to all of them. Now, as I was going through school, again, shadowed a lot of different docs, saw patients in the clinic at school, got to spend a little bit of time in preceptorship with Dr. Wesson, which was probably the funnest thing of all of school. Being able to I was essentially taking notes and shadowing him as he was seeing patients and just learning a ton. And so I was super thankful for that. Started the DABC program, which is the Diplomate American Board Chiropractic Internist. Essentially, this is a chiropractic program, specializing in internal health. And so that is a multiple year-long program, a postgraduate degree, really, that I was able to start while in school. And thankfully, I finished the program. I just need to sit for the board exam, the national board exam, and pass that, and then I'll be essentially considered an internal specialist doctor, which is, ultimately the knowledge is already there. The application with patients is already there, but it'll be kind of a cool credential to have. And things like that. So when going through school, did a lot of post-grad courses with pediatrics and learned a lot about that, from taking care of kids from infancy through just the growing and developing ages and things like that. So that was a lot of fun. All right. The next thing in the story is essentially how I got to where I'm at. So graduated school, moved to Kansas for a relationship, started my first practice there, and the Lord just blessed that practice. People would drive. It was in the Wichita, Kansas area. People would drive an hour and a half, 2 hours. Would have people come down from Nebraska, and I'm like, man, I just graduated. I'm in my 20s. Like, I was just blown away, at how people were coming and loving care and things like that. And so the Lord really blessed that practice and brought so many people. We saw some really, really cool stories, a lot of cool healing. Also ran into a decent number of roadblocks, some patients not getting better, and just learned a ton in those situations. And essentially, the short story is the relationship ended there in Kansas, and so I ultimately was going to move and ended up landing on the Dallas Fort Worth area, specifically Flower Mound. And by the grace of God, He provided another practitioner for me, and that's Brooke Knitz, to take over that practice in Kansas. And that was a huge answer to prayer, because I did not want to leave that practice and leave those patients with nobody. Because not that I'm the only doctor in the world, definitely not. There's a lot of great doctors in the Wichita, Kansas area, but I knew that this technique and this approach was really special, and even patients that have been to all these other practices, they were really enjoying it and finding a lot of value in it. So super thankful for Brooke Knitz. We had her on the podcast several episodes, and she's incredible. Would definitely recommend listening to that episode and kind of her experience with things. She is a family nurse practitioner, full prescription rights, the whole nine. And she essentially had her eyes opened to really where the healthcare system was at and where holistic health and holistic healing was at. And she has come so far to learn systems healthcare, and she's doing an incredible job there. So that's the practice in Kansas. So from there, moved down to Dallas, Texas. For me, some of the biggest things to me is, number one, church in my community. My relationship with the Lord is by far, the top priority. And so I needed to live in a place where I had good community and good church. And so for me, it was a church here in Flower Mound called the Village Church. And it was a church I had visited and spent some time in. And I thought, man, I would love to live here in this area and go to this church weekly. And so by the grace of God, came down here, moved down here, and started practice here in Flower Mound. And the Lord also just blew up that practice. It was ridiculously busy. I told myself, since I started without any front desk help, just to help keep overhead costs low and all the business things, told myself, once patients can't get in for 3 weeks, I'm going to hire somebody. Things are going to be steady, all this stuff. And by the time we got there, I started the hiring process. And many of you have met Rachel, my front desk. She's incredible. But before she had started in the office, that 3 weeks went to like 6 weeks. And I mean, I was just ridiculously just blown away and busy and working like crazy. So she was an answer to prayer and has been an amazing, amazing blessing to me and to all patients in the practice. So that was about a year ago that she joined the practice. And really the practice, again, it's called Freedom Health and Wellness in Flower Mound, Texas. And this practice as well has been just an amazing blessing. And I'm just so thankful to God. My aim and mindset and goal is prepare for the patients that I'm going to see, reviewing their notes, reviewing tests, all these things, to make sure that when I'm with them, number one, they're getting the best possible care that I can humanly provide. But number two, also, the goal of this practice, the name, Freedom Health and Wellness, was really inspired, I think, by God as not just a cute name on a building, not just a cute name on a business card or a website. The beauty behind Freedom Health and Wellness is my desire for people to be set free from physical and chemical, pains and health issues, but also be set free from any spiritual bondage. And a lot of that, of course, is rooted in my faith in Jesus as the Son of God, the only one by which we can be saved. And it's through his dying on the cross that we can have life. And we must trust in him. We must repent and turn to him, and walk with him. And so, me seeing through my life different areas of spiritual bondage and how Jesus has set me free from different things, whether it be anxiety or depression, whatever it might be. He has set me free from so many things, and I know that if we're going to talk about health, health is not just about food. Health is not just about movement. Health is not just about sleep. Those are definitely a part of it, but health is also about relationships, specifically relationships with God, or a relationship with God, because that's how we were designed. We weren't just designed as robots and machines to eat things and to move, to wake up and go to bed. We were not designed just for that. We were designed with a spirit, and we were designed with a purpose. And when you understand those two things and you understand your calling, whew, welcome to peace, welcome to life, and welcome to freedom. And so that's the beauty, that's the joy behind the freedom, health, and wellness. And so I want to talk a little bit about the practice today, kind of what things look like now. But as I'm thinking, I forgot to share a little bit about kind of my own experience with health, right? I shared the acne, I shared the low back, but one thing I didn't share was, as I went through, I started my first practice in Kansas. The very first office that I was in, I learned after I would go to the office, go home and be exhausted, sleep 8 to 10 hours, woke up, felt like I slept one. And I thought, what is happening? Is it a new bed? Is it the Wi-Fi at the office and the radiation? Like, what is happening? And eventually, when I would walk into the office, again, this is the very first office I had in Kansas. When I would walk in the office, my nose would immediately start running, and within 10 to 20 minutes, I would have to run to the bathroom because I was super bloated. I basically was developing irritable bowel syndrome, and it was a mess. Ultimately, through those months, I actually ended up developing some autoimmunity. My toes in the morning, as I would walk, my joints hurt, which I later realized that was kind of a form of rheumatoid arthritis. Would deal with tons of depression, tons of anxiety, all these different things that I'm like, this should not be happening to me. I have the training, the nutrition, all these things. Why is this happening to me? And what the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good. I realized and learned that that was a mold toxicity issue. And so I went through my own health and healing journey with mold. Realized, number one, that of course mold is nasty, but how do you spot it? How do you realize where that's an issue? And then number two, I figured out by the grace of God, how do you detox this stuff? And then there's actually usually a mold infection that develops in your body. So how do you kill that? And I've been to a lot of different health seminars, and everybody talks about mold as being the big bad thing. And what I realized was there's actually a very kind of easy / feasible way to address these issues. And so what tore me down and caused a lot of issues, the Lord used that to teach me about it and to walk me through the healing process myself. And so I've also, whether it's been that and extreme fatigue, whether it's been migraines from time to time, whether it's been severe pain, whatever it's been, the Lord has also used that to help me understand like what people are going through and to have empathy for people. Because when you're generally healthy, praise God again, you don't always have those ailments, and so you can sometimes forget what people are going through. And so it's been a huge lesson that I take away, that someone comes in with migraines, I'm like, I'm not just going to say, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I think back, like, I've had migraines. They suck. And they're just absolutely miserable. So I'm like, man, we're going to fix this. We're going to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to do everything in my power to do that. And so the Lord taught me a lot through the mold, through the autoimmunity, through reversing all that stuff. Praise God. Anxiety and depression, healing the gut, balancing hormones, all those things. Again, praise God. He has shown me so many things, and I'm so incredibly thankful. And everything that happens health wise to me, I know there's a reason behind it, and I know ultimately that that I'm going to learn from this, and that it's going to be used to serve other people. And that's always been a really, really cool thing that I've learned. So fast forward to now, freedom, health, and wellness. Um, I'll share a couple things about the practice here, the future, and some things there, and then I'll share a little bit about my kind of personal life, and then we'll wrap up. So the practice now, of course, we see patients of all kinds. We see a ton of kids, see a lot of course, adults. We see a number of kind of geriatric, kind of older patients as well. And the themes are usually pretty consistent. A lot of kids will have issues with ADHD, sleep issues, allergies, skin issues, stuff like that. For adults, it can literally be anything from hormone imbalances to autoimmune issues to cancer to like whatever it is that people are coming in with. And then for pediatrics, it usually has to do with pain and energy issues, but a lot of times it has to do with bone density and things like that. So we work on all of those things. But the mission and the purpose of the practice continues to remain the same. The mission and the purpose is number one, to show up and provide the best possible health care that I can, knowing that God's bringing people to this practice, and I want them to find health and healing, but also want them to find really the creator of health and the healer. And that's God, and that's found through Jesus. And so the practice is again focused and mission and purpose for that. So we're doing the best that we can, and we're excited for more. I mean, we want. I guess I say we. I mean, I guess I include Rachel in that. But my passion, my goal and desire is for this practice just to be a huge holistic health practice. Where we have 4, 5, 6 different holistic docs, and we are just slammed with patients because people see the value of holistic health. They want healing, and these are docs that they can trust and that they know are going to fight for them. And so, step one right now is to hire a second doc. And so we've got tons of patients. We've got a wait list. And so I'm praying and asking God to bring that doc along, and in his perfect timing, I know that he will. So I'm super excited for that. That's probably the main kind of challenge right now. But that's kind of the future goals and what that looks like. So as far as patients go, if you're listening to this, you have any thoughts, any questions, hey, future stuff, maybe you could do this with the practice. Maybe you could offer this service. Hey, I'm all ears. I want to hear from you guys what you want. My goal is obviously to create a practice that is sustainable and extremely, extremely helpful for people. But it's to create a practice that is changing lives. And so I'm excited that that's what we've been able to do, and hopeful that we'll continue that in the future. All right. So on the personal side of things, what does Dr. Joel do outside of the office? Well, obviously I'm huge into health. So a couple of things. I love health and fitness. So I love working out. I feel so good working out. I love to run. I love to lift. I love to hoop, to play basketball. I love to play soccer. I didn't share. I commented on it earlier, but to finish that piece on the college sports, I had worked out for a couple of schools to play college basketball, and that was really my dream. And honestly, some doors closed and some things fell through in like really weird ways that I was like, that had to be God. And, because of that, I can thankfully say that led me into chiropractic school and through the journey that I've been through. And so all I can say is I'm extremely thankful for where I am now. And I just have to trust God with all those things, knowing that he is outside of time and he sees things before my life. He sees things in my life and after my life, and he knows what is best. And so, but I still love to hoop, still love to kick the ball around as well when I can. So love to do those things. Love to hang out with my friends. Love to spend time in the sun. I love cars. Maybe kind of an interesting kind of interest or hobby. Like I love cars, sports cars, foreign cars. All those things are a blast, and they're just really cool to me. They have been since I was really, really young. Other things that are extremely important to me, of course, my walk with God. That's something that is, a priority every single day, but also I get to serve and work with a lot of people at the Village Church. And that's also been a huge blessing. After that, or not necessarily after that, but along with that is my family. I love my family. My family's mostly in Virginia, so I travel back to see them every once in a while when I can. And things in life, the stuff, the things that you own, you know, um, you know, belongings, money, like all these things are great and fun, but and I don't even have a ton of those things, but all those things are great and fun. um, but those things will rust, and those things will turn into garbage one day. It's family and it's people that matter. And so part of my growth over the last year or so is just kind of continuing to realize that, hey, the practice will always be here, patience will always be here. Go spend time with your family and love on them, pray for them, pray with them, and just spend time with them, because people will not always be here. And you never know. You could lose someone in the blink of an eye. And so you just want to always take those things for granted. So that is my personal life. What else? I don't know. Honestly, I'm fairly simple. I feel like I love to laugh, love to cut jokes, love to kind of be loose with things, love to try new food and new restaurants. Of course, they need to be healthy. And so I found a good few places throughout the Dallas area that I tend to share with patients from time to time. Um, what else? Man, I don't know. One other question I had on here was, what kind of challenges do I face? And so I would say my challenges are, honestly, is just I love to work and I love to serve people and to help people and things like that. And so the dark side of that is overworking and doing too much and not finding enough rest. And so that's been a huge thing that the Lord has challenged me, especially over the last year, is really honoring rest as kind of a worship to Him. And so I've been doing better at that, and continuing to strive to do better at that. And so that's the rest piece. And with my health overall is really, really good. Praise God. But now I'm at a place where I'm even trying to push my own health and figure out, okay, based on this whole cortisol tolerance thing, which I've talked about before, like if perfect health is here and you start having symptoms here, like what are the things that are in between you there? And how can you get those things as low as possible so that you can function at 100% all the time, every day? And, that doesn't mean that there's not suffering. There is certainly suffering, but how can I try to optimize my health? How good can I get? And there's a couple things that I've learned. Number one, you can get your health really, really good, but at the end of the day, our bodies are frail and our bodies are going to die one day. And this place, this earth, it was never designed to be like this. In this body, this is not my home. And so as amazing as it is to see healing with things, you go a week without food, you go even 2, 3 days without food, you start losing so much weight, you get really tired. Um, our body is really capable, but it's also extremely, you know, temporal. And I've been able to learn that and just be humbled by that, and be humbled by just the vastness of God, and how small we are, and yet He still seeks to know us and to love us and to save us. So that is, I think that's it. I think that's it. If you have listened to all of this, I went way past what I was meaning to do. I was trying to keep it to like 25 minutes, but here we are at 41. So apparently I'm really good at that. But this is me, Dr. Joel. So from my story to how I got into holistic health, the practice, a little bit of the personal things. This is what God has done in my life. It's what He's doing in my life and through my life. And if you've taken the time to listen to this, thank you. I'm super honored and thankful for you that you would take your time out of your day to listen to this. And I hope this has been helpful, and hope that somehow my story is an encouragement to you, a blessing to you. What I'll finish with is this. Um, the body is amazing at healing itself. You need to give it the right things to do so. And by the grace of God, He will provide healing. And at the end of the day, whether your health is amazing or not, which I hope that it is, and I'll do everything that I can to help you with that. At the end of the day, knowing your creator is the most important thing, because how we were designed, our spirit and our soul, isn't a temporary thing. It's not a momentary thing on this earth like the rest of our body. I'm going to grow old and die. You're going to grow old and die. And what happens in the meantime and what happens after we die is so, so important. And so one of the things that I always will share with people when it comes up, and when I have the opportunity to share this with patients, which happens from time to time, I always tell people, I wish and hope that you know God, that specifically Jesus Christ, who is the Son of God, the Bible says. And Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father, he said, but through Jesus. And it was Jesus dying on the cross, being buried, rose again 3 days later. He defeated death. And he says, if you put your faith and trust in me, he goes, I will save you. And essentially, when we stand before God after we pass, Jesus will step in and say, I took his sin on the cross, and he's a child. And so that's my hope for every single person, of course, when they pass. But it's also my hope that every single person today would experience the life and the freedom and the joy in knowing Jesus. Life is not necessarily easier with Jesus and with God. It's definitely not necessarily easier, but God is with you through all of the nasty things of this world. And having God with you is amazing. It's amazing. Um, um, Jesus even talked about that. He said, in this life, many bad things will happen. I'm essentially paraphrasing, but he goes, in this life, many bad things will happen, but he goes, take heart. He goes, take heart, for I've overcome the world. And so the last thing I'll leave you with is, I hope that this has been helpful for you, but also hope that you'll take some of these things into consideration and consider, the God that made you and the God that is seeking to restore relationship with you, that you would ultimately have life. Surrender is the requirement for life. Surrender is the requirement for freedom. And that's something that I hope every person comes to know and understand. All right, guys, thank you so much. Hope you guys enjoy this. I'm excited for you guys to hear Dr. Tim's story. It's going to be good as well. And with all that said, if you have any requests for episodes, different topics you want us to touch on, definitely let us know. We're super excited to entertain those recommendations and suggestions. And we're here to help and serve you guys. All right. It's been nice chatting with you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next one.